Good morning, everybody. John Mariano here, and it is a happy Monday morning-ish sort of day. I am joined with my lovely co-host, Christy McGee and Thomas Wrestling. How are you, Christy?
Oh, I am just doing wonderful. Good morning, John. Good morning, Thomas.
Good morning. I am very happy to be here producing another show. This is fun for me.
Well, this is a show that is near and dear to my heart. I grew up on Regis and Kathy Lee, and I am feeling that we need to bring some brightness and happiness into the world. So here we are on our inaugural podcast. Is it inaugural? I don't know, pilot episode. Who cares? And we are here to make people happy, or at least make ourselves happy. If anybody listens, that'd be great. But if not, I'm happy. How are you guys feeling?
I'm always happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. That's pretty much my goal too. As long as I have fun doing this, yeah. I hope someone listens, but hey.
Well, and the structure here, just to give everybody the introduction to the show, we're gonna do how you doing, what are you doing, what are you watching, and what are you looking forward to, right? And it's a very simple couple of questions we're going to answer, but we're going to keep it fast and loose, and maybe some banter. I have some cookies here. I was annoying Christy McGee with these before the show, just dropping them into my microphone, but I can also.
Oh, great! Yeah, you can also drive the producer insane by eating on air.
I mean, isn't that part of what we do?
Yes,
First of all,
it's what makes him happy.
Everybody, cheers to our opening episode. We all have our little teacups, coffee cups, or drinks, whatever we have.
I dropped mine when I went out to get water, so.
Cheers.
Happy tea.
So, Thomas, what are you up to, man?
Playing lots of D&D these days, some video games. Business has been taking up the majority of my time. I started a new business in October, and that's been my primary focus for the last, since October 1st.
Yeah, I know we've been trying to prep this show for a long time, and you have been working like I like to think of Christy and I as the grasshoppers of the group, and you are like the busy ant preparing for whatever's coming next. Christy, what's your take on Thomas's business venture and how hard he's working? Like, are you? What are your thoughts?
I'm really excited about Thomas's business adventure because he kept it a secret for a while from me, which was very hurtful. But now that I'm watching him sort of expand and get more out there with it, it's very exciting.
Oh, you guys just making me blush over here.
Well, can we talk about it? Can we talk about it and give you some free advertising at all?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
what do you want to know?
So, what's your business?
So I run what we would call a head shop. I'm kind of trying to bring the name back from what we all associate head shops with, and have more of like a glass gallery feeling, and do definitely serve the Canadian cannabis community, also the American cannabis community, and primarily focusing on glass art. So I'm actually going to have a show coming up on the feed at some point here in the next couple of months where I walk through some glass art and some stuff like that.
I have to say I'm less familiar with the glass art than maybe my co-host Christy here. But what I will say is I feel like if I walked into your store, I'd be afraid to bump into anything because everything that you show me is always so fancy.
I am afraid to bump into anything, even in my house, let alone my store.
But Christy, as a connoisseur of the glass artwork, what are your thoughts on some of the things that Thomas has shared?
Some of the things that Thomas has shared are absolutely gorgeous. It's just like they're so beautiful. The people who make these things are absolute wizards. And I mean, whether they're functional or not, I do really enjoy looking at them.
This is so much fun. I never get to talk about my business like this.
No, and I will say one of my favorite things about your business that you've done, and this is maybe a little bit off topic and off center of what your shop is all about, but I got to watch you put together a video game cabinet.
Yeah, you did.
Christy did as well, and that was both hilarious in how frustrating it was for you, but also amazing when we got to the payoff.
Yeah, I distinctly remember sounding like I was in a tunnel with my headset on, like stuck my torso inside of an arcade machine while you guys were trying to talk some sense into me while I was doing this. It was nice to have company, I'll be honest, because the second one I didn't have company, and it took a long time.
Well, what's amazing is I thought you were going to have full-on cabinets, and this isn't me picking on your arcades at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like miniatures.
Yeah, they're like they remade them. It's a company called Arcade One Up that does a lot of the old arcade machines in kind of this miniature style. It's like, I don't want to say it's a half size screen. It's probably 33% less the size of what we're used to in the old arcades. But what's become popular in the world of head shops and stuff like that now is kind of creating like a modern day general store for the things that we all grew up loving. We don't really have places like that. So my goal is to kind of, like I said, bring that term, the head shop, back and make it more synonymous with like the modern day general store.
And I'm very much looking forward to it. And looking forward that we can talk about it more. This is a good forum, I feel like, to give updates on how the store is going and all of that.
I really appreciate it, both of you. Thank you. It's always nice to get to share this with anybody.
And we're going to be chronicling my journey as I move to Canada.
Yes, we are. This will become Christie's room.
That's my room.
So Christie, that's a great segue because you know, in your what are you doing? You said wallowing in a self-care afterglow, and what is that all about? That sounds fantastic.
I did something absolutely wonderful for myself. I took a day off. I took Friday off from work, which I never do. All the last couple of days I've ever had to take off was from being sick, which really doesn't count as a day off. And I had reached the absolute pinnacle of burnout. So I took Friday off from work, and I think I was up fairly late on Thursday night with some of you folks. And I like slept in, and I had nothing to do and nothing on my to-do list. And oh my God, I feel so great.
That sounds wonderful.
So what you're saying is you did nothing and it was everything you thought it could be?
It was perfection, John.
Oh, I have no problem with this at all. This is exciting stuff. Did you sleep in?
I did. I slept in a lot. And then I just did some like putzing around a house, but then like I took like a bubble bath and I did some yoga, and I just like, I got, even like last night, I got the best night's sleep from just doing all of these very relaxing things. And I still feel wonderful, and I'm like so ready to take on the rest of the week.
So wait, walk it back for a second. Because you mentioned yoga in there, and I've seen people do yoga, and I can't imagine how A, that's relaxing, and B, how it's fun. It seems like the most painful looking thing I've seen. Like holding yourself like that. So walk me through how this is relaxing.
So what you're imagining is probably not the kind of yoga I did. The kind of yoga I was doing last night is something called restorative yoga, and you would actually really like it. There's a whole lot of just laying down.
Oh, I could get into this. So it's an exercise where I can lay down?
Up next, our segment, John does restorative yoga.
Yeah, so
we have this wonderful couch below us here.
Thomas, as our producer, if I could rig a shot here, can we have Christie on a future episode walk me through restorative yoga?
Absolutely. I'll cue relaxing music. 100%. Yep. Christie is your guide to relaxing yoga, restorative yoga. I apologize.
Christie, would you be up for this for a future episode?
Absolutely.
Okay, so gang, you hear it on our first episode. I'm signing up for Christie McGee's restorative yoga class, episode 0 something. And we'll look forward to that. And Thomas can give commentary on it, on how poorly I'm doing.
I'm very excited.
I want to do the over under on how fast John falls asleep.
I've been a yoga guy for a long time, so I'm very excited to see John try yoga.
I mean, that's kind of what the show is about. It's about branching out, trying new things, having fun, well, and talking about how we're helping ourselves. Around here, I've been working on painting, getting back into my artwork. I just painted some windows for a local barbecue place in exchange for food, because that's how I normally work. I got some smoked hot wings that were then layered with garlic hot sauce, and it was fantastic.
That sounds incredible. Please advertise. Is this a place that ships to Canada?
It doesn't ship to Canada, but I might bring some to Canada when I come and visit your shop.
Please do.
So it's called Big Belly Q, and it's in Smithtown here on Long Island. And every couple of months, I go and paint the windows. I did Jack Skellington for Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, that time of year.
Yep.
And now for the winter, we painted a spring thing, because everything's snow and dreary around here in New York. So we wanted something bright and welcoming. Yep. So I painted some tulips and flowers and Snoopy and Woodstock grilling on an offset smoker, which is really fun.
And I kind of want that. If you could do me a favor and I want that on a shirt really badly. I want Snoopy and Woodstock grilling on a shirt. I'd wear
I'm
it
sure
everywhere.
I'm sure it is, but what I'll do is, like, I guess for copyright purposes, we'll do knockoff Snoopy and knockoff Woodstock, where they seem like maybe they were on the other side of the tracks a little bit too long. I'll draw them for you, and we'll get them on the shirt.
Snoopy and Hoodstock.
Yeah. But other than that, I've been trying to relax as well. And while Christie was busy either sleeping or taking a day off or restorative yoga, I did a lot of exercise the other night, and I traveled thousands of miles across the country. And we all got on a wagon train to Oregon.
Oh, God.
And it was everything I hoped it could be.
It's just,
We took a road trip.
It was a family road trip. I'm very sad. I had to leave part of the way through, but I have never, ever been more sad about leaving something in the middle of it since we started this feed.
So in all my years of playing Oregon Trail, and for anybody who's listening who is unfamiliar with the game, Oregon Trail was a game that when you would go to the computer lab in school, when computers were like a new, fresh, hot, new thing, right? The only game on it was a text-based game called Oregon Trail, where it had certain images in green DOS artwork, and you would answer yes or no, or buy a couple of items so you could pump in a number and try to figure out how to get across. And most of the times your party, including yourself, would die before you get to Oregon. Christie McGee is the world's greatest trail guide.
Yep.
Right? Christie McGee got me to Oregon.
And you thought I was just being bossy.
Right. And in fairness, she got most of my crew. Now, Jeff died along the way. You know, Jeffrey, who's a friend of ours, he's a friend of the feed. Jeff died like 3/4 of the way to Oregon, but he made it 3/4 of the way.
He succumbed to dysentery, did he not?
He did. He was not taking care of himself, and he had to go. But we made it. We made it mostly to Oregon. Christie, would you like to update everybody on what happened as we made it to the river in Oregon?
Yeah, so the fact that everybody but Jeff made it to the river, and then John, who is a mass murderer, drowned the rest of us so he could enjoy Oregon alone.
So
that sounds about right.
I got very excited, folks, when we made it most of the way to Oregon, and the game play completely changes. Like, I figured out how to hunt on the way. They told me I was buying too many boxes of ammo, but I was a terrible shot early on. But by the end of it, I was killing bears and rabbits and squirrels and things, and we had plenty of meat. So that's why the rest of us lived, and poor Jeff didn't make it, because it took me a while to figure out how to kill the animals. But once I figured out how to kill the animals, we all made it to the river. Christie did not warn me that the gameplay rapidly changes from yes or no, or buying some stuff to make sure people stay alive, or choosing to rest, which is part of the game. How many days would you like to rest for, right? No. You get in there, and now it's left and right arrows and trying to avoid rocks down a rapid river. And
was it rapid? Was it? Tell the truth. Was it rapid?
John?
I mean, it was definitely lagging, right?
It was slow motion river boarding.
We now get to the point where John is every kid in Fortnite who's like 16 years old. He's like, "Oh, it lagged. That's why I died." I swear.
Okay, first of all, I didn't die. I made it to Oregon. I'm living in Oregon right now.
It lagged. That's why you killed everybody.
I mean, it's not my fault that when we hit the rock, the rest of you guys just, I'm assuming, dove headfirst into the rock, like, oh, I'm dying, right? You guys should have lived like me.
I had a broken arm. I couldn't swim. That's why I drowned.
Yeah, Christie somehow along the way broke her arm. And I'm like, I had nothing to do with that. Like, I'm just driving the train. Right?
It's suspicious.
It's very suspicious.
Do you think the man who came and stole 7 bullets from us broke my arm?
That was such a specific number too. A thief shows up and steals 7 bullets. We had boxes of ammo, right?
What if he filled his revolver and then had 1 for spare?
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but it seemed like an odd number. You don't take any more backup. I had boxes of it. Just take a box.
I feel like I could write a story about the thief in Oregon Trail.
I broke my arm defending our bullets, and that's why he only got 7. You're welcome.
Okay, okay, this tracks. This tracks. So we will be playing, or I will be playing more Oregon Trail, and you guys are more than welcome to join me or play your own games and give updates because that game is fantastic.
I can't wait. I'm
It
very
really
excited to
is.
play Oregon Trail again. I honestly think it should be like a filmed thing that we do, maybe live.
Oh, it's definitely possible. I think if we all play too, it could be even more of a mess where
Yeah.
we see how far each of us gets, and one by one we're killing off the rest of our party as well. We
Oh,
can
there
tell
we
that story.
go.
Because the
We're
next time,
basically. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just saying next time I'm not stopping for resting because I don't feel like that helped anybody.
Yes, it did. I think that was how so many of our oxen survived.
The way we played Oregon Trail was not entirely different from how we played D&D, which is just kind of stumble along and hope people don't die.
I had a plan.
I apologize.
I mean, Christy did have a plan, and I did my best to derail it.
I had a strategy.
So aside from me playing video games, are you guys watching anything like on TV or listening to podcasts or anything? Like what's interesting to you right now?
I just finished watching the Stand miniseries. And I come from it as someone who that's one of my favorite books. I've read it a ton of times. I think people like that are the only ones who can really get any enjoyment out of this. They made a lot of choices that I didn't quite understand. But as someone who was looking for like little Easter eggs and stuff from the book or like certain little character moments, I did find some satisfaction in that. But I don't think I could recommend this to someone who wasn't familiar with the property.
So what if it's somebody who's familiar with Stephen King? Like no?
No.
The way you're describing this is very similar to how I felt about American Gods. Right? You know, just anybody, unless you'd read the book, it's not a good recommendation.
And even if you had read the book, they did this like weird timeline thing. There was past stuff and then future stuff, which means that they lost all of the middle stuff where the character development was. And I was just like, well, I know these people because I've read the book like 40 times, but very strange.
You mean TV had foregone character development for the sake of flash and style? Nah, that doesn't happen.
There wasn't even a lot of flash. It was very confusing. They took out all the good, all the fun.
Okay, I rescind my previous statement.
It was a little bit weird. There were some choices made. A lot of the acting and stuff was fine, but just the way they chose to present it was a little weird for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's literally the most opinion I've ever had on anything on TV ever. That was the most opinion I've ever had.
Would it anger me the same way as the 90s Shining miniseries angered me? Or
so I think that's a strange thing to be angry about. I don't choose to put my anger into those sort of activities.
I feel like we need one of us to at least represent what the internet is like, and I have chosen that person to be me.
I think it's time to play the theme song again for a quick little reset.
Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have covered negativity on the internet, we are moving on.
Thomas, what are you watching, my friend?
I'm really enjoying the second season of For All Mankind. I mean, granted, they've only dropped one episode. That's the alternate history version of the space race, where the space race never ends and continues. It's very well cast, very well written, and it picks up with an extraordinary level of consistency. I'm loving that show. Vikings is coming to an end in Canada, despite the fact that most of the rest of the world has known the end for 2 months. That's a blast for me. I'm a big Norse guy, and obviously WandaVision and the Mars rover landing. I'm always kind of watching stuff.
Well, let's backtrack a little bit through them.
Yeah.
I know you're big on For All Mankind and all things space, really.
Yep.
And you talked me into watching season 1 of it, and I have to re-up my Apple TV, which has all these great hidden gems on it. I'm going to wait for everything to come back and get it for a month or two and watch everything after it comes back.
Yep.
And I cancel again because there's not enough on it to sustain, but there's enough.
No, there isn't.
But there's enough good stuff for me to get a good, solid 1 to 2 good months of like Ted Lasso, For All Mankind, Mythic Quest. Like there is just gem after gem on there.
Yeah.
So other than the alternate history, is there anything special about that series, without giving away too many spoilers, that could sell somebody on why should I get Apple TV to check this thing out?
So, if you're watching basically the rebirth of the space race right now with the return to the moon and all of these trips to Mars, we had 3 rovers launched to Mars within a month last year, as Mars was closest to Earth. We are in a period where the space race may just kick off again, in a really big way, but this time with more cooperation and collaboration instead of a Cold War taking place in the background. And this show really does capitalize on that. Obviously, the Cold War still looming, Reagan's president. It's a very good alternate timeline that takes some liberties, but the liberties it takes are very well taken and pointed. It's not just alternate history for the sake of alternate history.
Well, it's funny because you had me watch that show, and I've really gotten into these Mars rover landings, and we watched that the other day, and
Yeah.
Christie watched along, and we were all having a good old time with watching this remote control vehicle make it to Mars, which is like, it might sound like I'm being sarcastic, but this is a super exciting moment where we're going to get some high res photos of a red planet and hopefully find Matt Damon.
Poor Watney.
Christie, what was your experience in watching that rover landing?
I was so anxious. I was so anxious the entire time.
Yeah. I'm always on the edge of my seat with those landings until that final moment where you actually see everybody in the control room have that moment of release, and they get like 30 seconds of celebration, and they're all right back down into their computers again like nothing ever happened.
So what was your greatest fear, Christie, in that landing?
I just that something would go wrong because I had been watching like the coverage and they're interviewing this person and that person, and so like all of a sudden this is something I didn't know a lot about. Like now I have like these people's stories and like how long they've been working on this. I'm like, oh my god, like this is their huge big moment. I don't want anything to go wrong for them because I'll just cry.
Yeah, and like it's pretty remarkable. We have companies that are like regular office companies telling employees it's impossible to work from home. Yet we just had a man land a Mars rover, his 5th rover in his lifetime, an immigrant to the US at 35 years with NASA, land his 5th rover from home. So everybody can work from home.
Thomas, the moment that this rover landed and we were all
Yeah.
ecstatic, do you have anything that could emulate that feeling to the audience right now that we could share with them? Just a moment of pure bliss and happiness. And the rover has just landed.
We have touchdown on Mars.
Christie's anxiety is escaping her body now.
The JPL team is finding some joy in the last 7 months of pure hell. Oh.
So we'll bring the TV show stuff back to Earth, and one of the other things Thomas mentioned is how us Americans know the fate of Vikings, even though Canadians are just finding this out. And I would like to kind of say not all Americans know the fate of Vikings. I haven't started the series yet, but I plan on watching it. And I know Christie is getting into or deciding whether or not she likes Vikings.
I can't decide if I like it. I think I just started season 4.
Yep, that's fair.
There's a lot of characters that they're very complicated, which is a great thing. I think I text some people a lot. Am I supposed to like this character? And I get kind of very vague answers. Obviously I'm enjoying something because I'm not a big TV person. And I haven't even watched Frasier this year because I'm watching Vikings. So that's got to say something. I just don't know what it is.
Vikings is a good show, but it follows pretty horrible people. It's hard to like. There's a Netflix movie that we just watched last night that did a similar thing that I found it almost impossible to watch because both the protagonists are deplorable. Vikings is like that. I like the show because I like the history, but I can't tell you that there's a single character in that you're actually meant to like, maybe besides Lagertha. And like, even at that, she does some things that at times you're like, I don't know about that. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's a very complicated show. Unfortunately, it had the poor timing of being a competitor to Game of Thrones. So a lot of the gray that you get with characters that feel underdeveloped, I think, was maybe Michael Hurst taking some notes from Game of Thrones,
Mhm.
right? And trying to make everybody a little more ambiguous than maybe they should have been.
Yeah.
Like Rollo, right? Not to spoil a whole lot for anybody who hasn't seen it, but he's terrible from the first episode, and yet somehow in season 2, we're all cheering when he comes back to the right side of things, right?
Wait, Rollo's a character?
Yes.
Okay, no, I thought you were talking about the little chocolate Rolos because I am not a fan of those things.
Really?
Yeah.
I find this surprising about you, John.
John, did you actually know that Rollos, like the chocolates, are actually named after Rollo, the first Duke of Normandy?
I had no idea, and he might be a fantastic guy, but I'm more like maybe it's the American in me, but I'm more of a Baby Ruth guy because he's named
That's
after
fair.
George Herman Ruth, the Sultan of SWAT.
Yeah. He's
Those are gross.
I was gonna try and make some sort of kingship joke, and I lost it before I even got there.
But I mean, I've been watching some things lately.
Yeah, what have you been watching?
Well, one of them is something you mentioned, so we'll hit on that one first. WandaVision,
Yes.
right? Which Christie is not an MCU person.
I get around to all of their stuff eventually.
So here's what I will say. You know, we're going to talk about personalities here and people that we're fans of. And one of them is Ken Knapsack. And Ken Knapsack has named you a witch. Which, right? Am I wrong here? Like, can you give us more context? Because I'm going to bring it back to WandaVision.
Oh, lovely. So for whatever reason, whenever I get mentioned, immediately following is the phrase "a known witch."
Right. And I don't know if you know this, but WandaVision is about Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch.
Also a witch.
Right.
Witch.
Yeah.
So I would think that if there were as an entry for you to get into the MCU and really be like, okay, now I feel like part of this is mine, it would be this show. And I'm not even kidding you.
Christy, what 2 colors are you wearing primarily right now?
Red and black.
I think you should watch WandaVision.
Okay.
So Thomas, why are the red and the black so prominent? Why would that be a reason for Christy to watch?
It's the whole show's soaked in the colors because it's kind of Scarlet Witch's thing, right? I'm sure you've seen the red magics that she does with the hands and all that stuff. And it's very witch themed. Like there's a lot of witch lore in that show that you might enjoy.
Do I have to be caught up on all the movies to watch this? I think I'm missing a Spider-Man.
Can I be honest? As long as you've seen the ones with Scarlet Witch, nothing else matters.
So and I can help you here. In high school, you guys know this, but for the audience, my nickname was Cliff. This is a true story.
Yep.
So if you need some Cliff notes on Scarlet Witch, I can get you there.
Okay.
Yep. We should do watching WandaVision with a known witch.
and Cliff.
And Cliff.
And Cliff.
So aside from WandaVision, which I think is one of the more innovative shows I've seen lately.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode of Young Rock. And I am a big wrestling fan, as you know. And this is covering many eras of wrestling because it's giving us Rock when he was a little kid and his father, Rocky Maivia, was Rocky Maivia? No, Rocky Johnson was his dad.
Rocky Johnson, yeah.
Right? So Rocky Johnson in the 70s wrestling with like the likes of Andre the Giant and Iron Sheik. And they have actors who are doing fantastic jobs, not just doing a caricature, but playing these larger than life characters, right? And then we jump into 80s Rock where he's like a teenager and I'm sure we're going to get some 80s wrestling stuff in there at some point and what he fell in love with. But we're also getting a lot of his home life with his mom at that point because his dad's off wrestling.
Yep.
Then we jump.
Probably going to go in some interesting directions if you know much about Dwayne Johnson, right?
Right. And then no, I think you're absolutely right. Like right now we're just on episode 1 and he bought a car for $100 and this isn't a huge spoiler. Yep. And he's driving around like he's larger than life. The first episode is all about working the gimmick, which is something they do in wrestling, but we all do in life as well. You try to present yourself bigger than what you are. And it's all about how Rock through different stages of life was working the gimmick one way or the other. And then as he gets a little bit older and he's at Miami University, with all of these soon-to-be Pro Bowlers in the NFL, it's showing how Rock still finds a way to stand out among the stars, right? Or the would-be stars, because the University of Miami was on top of the world at that point. So it's a really interesting series. It's fun. It's kind of like the Goldbergs, but with a little bit like, hey, you remember this thing? Okay, well, this is that thing through a celebrity's point of view, which is kind of a cool lens.
And there's a lot of people from the Goldbergs involved in that show, not acting wise, but behind the scenes, isn't there?
I believe so. I don't know the trivia stuff. We all came from a trivia community, but I suck at it. And I just took I wanted to let that be known that if you ask me trivia on this show, I will probably get it wrong. So if somebody wants to fact check me, feel free, because maybe.
John, where does the Oregon Trail take place?
Just north of the Happy Trail.
That's not incorrect.
Oh, I didn't notice that on the map.
I'm so sorry I brought this up again.
So otherwise, I've been watching a lot of GPA, the Good People Association, which has been brightening my days. It's a nice set of shows where they focus on making people laugh and happiness, and kind of like I just diverted Thomas's fact checking on if it's the Goldbergs. I very simply was like, I don't know. I watch things to have fun now, and I think that's what where we're all at, right? Whether it's
100%.
the Good People, or I want to take a minute and just fully endorse it. If you're watching this and listen to this, and you don't listen to Saturday Night Knapsack, it's literally the best sketch show on Saturday nights. I know that there's a famous one on NBC that is still airing, and I don't want to belittle something that is a national treasure for the most part, but it's not the time for that show. Tune in to the Ken Knapsack podcast, and you don't have to tune into it Saturday night if you want. It's a great Sunday morning listen.
It is. I go to the GPA Positivity Report for all of my hot puns. And then Saturday Night Knapsack I use to find out if I have a compatible sense of humor with someone. Because that's like my favorite thing in the world.
And apparently, if you're a witch.
Well, yeah. Ken Knapsack outing witches.
Right?
Well, we're almost wrapped up here, but before we wrap up, what are you guys looking forward to next? Like, what's next on the agenda for you?
Christy?
Etsy stuff. I have Etsy stuff coming in the mail.
Etsy.
What kind of Etsy stuff?
That's fighting dirty. Okay. I have opinions on these gnomes. I, as a connoisseur of gnomes, am a little bit offended by these lazy, sleepy gnomes that have no eyes. I need to see their eyes. I need to know what they're doing. This is a very strange trend that I find a little bothersome. Someone has gifted me one of these gnomes, and I have complicated feelings about it because I like gnomes and gifts, but I don't like it. I want to see their eyes and their little gnome mouths.
So Thomas, what are your thoughts on these furry, sleepy looking gnomes?
Not my gnome. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. # not my gnome.
Yeah, when Christy first shared this with me, I was mildly offended.
Yeah, I am.
I felt like the gnome was stuck in the hat, and that like by his waist, and something was just sticking out of his very furry crotch, because that's kind of what it looks like if you look at it. Like he's wearing shaggy sheep pants.
I feel like you need to stop thinking about Jam Foodle right now.
I kind of blame Jeff. So we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons together for a few weeks, and our friend Jeff Saunders is playing a character called Jam Foodle, who is a naked gnome who has damaged his nether regions several times over at this point. It's what we call a critical roll, right, Thomas?
It was actually a critical miss, but yes, critical roll is a game.
It was the best thing that could ever happen to us.
I am still learning these terms, folks. So in talking about the gnomes, we then Thomas pivoted that conversation somehow, and I missed that part because I stepped up to get ready for the show. But Thomas loves all things miniature, so I did a quick search
I feel
for
like that's not
miniatures.
quite what I said, but okay.
Well, you can help segue it if you want, but you like the miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest, that Fallen Knight one right there is pretty cool.
Really? Because look at the little Yankee candles. I just want to make them.
Oh, look, there's personalized cups there, and John is one of the names on the front.
So
I guess I can just be Mary, right?
You're definitely the Mary of the group, right? So this is something that we can all consider at some point. Is getting some.
There's a tiny greenhouse.
Mini greenhouse. I want it so bad. Why are we doing this on a show right now?
To get these reactions, because part of this is we're a morning show and we want to be excited, and some of it is to bring spontaneity. I know that we pre-planned a lot of the stuff, but you guys in the show prep got so excited about the miniatures, and it doesn't excite me at all. But I wanted to share some of that excitement with our fans watching the show. Right?
I miss having fan.
Right. So
do you want me to get Sam?
Yeah, no. I almost said yes. No.
I know you. I was like, I'll do it. I'll get him.
So Christie is looking forward to a shopping spree on Etsy. Thomas, what are you looking forward to?
I miss Dungeons and Dipshits, which is our Dungeons and Dragons game. D&D is kind of one of those really healthy releases for me creatively and everything else, just escape from everything for however many hours. And our game is extraordinarily fun. It's unlike any other game I've played, and I can't wait for it to come back. Obviously, you said I'm obsessed with space. I am. We haven't had much for clear nights out this way either, so I haven't had that like evening respite that I have with the telescope for a while. So I'm looking forward to having that back. And weirdly enough, I hope Mark doesn't listen to this because he'll never let me live this down. But weirdly enough, I'm kind of looking forward to Snyder's Justice League. I kind of want to know if it's gonna be any better.
So I have feelings that probably don't fit a Monday morning show about this movie.
Okay.
But what I will say is I am intrigued by some of the things I've seen.
Yeah.
I am going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it with the idea that I'm not going to like it. I'm going to just watch it.
Yep.
And see how I feel about it. But Thomas, what has you excited about it?
Particularly some of the dialogue coming out of the actors and like the people involved in the film. We didn't see any excitement virtually from the Justice League cast. Like I know the scene with Jason Momoa and the trident on the stage and all of that. But there wasn't a lot of like happiness and excitement coming out of that movie like there was for like the Avengers and even in the press after. It all seemed very kind of paint by numbers. Here's what you say, here's what you don't. And I'm kind of excited to get a little more creative control. Like as someone who has done creative stuff and lost control of those projects, I kind of feel for Zack Snyder. Whether I like his films or not is another story, but I kind of feel for him, and I'd just like to see what he does with it.
Christie, do you have any feelings one way or the other about this Justice League re-release?
I'm so excited about it. I'm going to watch it. I've never seen the other version of it, and I just look forward to, for the rest of my life, being like, oh no, I only saw the Snyder one.
Can we watch it together? Because I'd love to see your reaction.
Absolutely. So I'm a little bit behind on the MCU. I am so far behind on anything DC related, which is weird because I'm like a Batman person. But yeah, no, I'm so pumped because this is like that like weird like did you know fact that I'm gonna ride high on for a long time.
Yep.
So Christie, I don't know if you know this about me, but in high school my nickname was Cliff. I can be what we like to call the Cliff Notes of the DC movies, so you don't have to watch them all if you don't want.
Are they on the HBO app?
Yeah.
So I can access them.
Yeah. That awesome HBO thing that Canadians will never have.
You can come down to America and watch it with me, Thomas, anytime you want.
Can I bring it with me when I move in?
I mean, I don't think that's how geography works, but we can try. I'll get the VPN set up before you move in.
Yeah.
Johnny, what are you looking forward to, man?
So I also have HBO Max.
Yep.
Right. And I am very much looking forward to Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, yes.
which is kind of like Batman versus Superman, but with giant animals.
There's also a lot less logic to be argued in Kong versus Godzilla, which I'm very much looking forward to, and probably no Martha scene. Sorry, morning show. Moving on. Excitement.
Cue
No,
music.
so I mean, you say there's a lot less logic to be argued, and you're right. We're talking about two skyscraper-sized beings at least slugging it out on an aircraft carrier.
Yes, and it's awesome. And no one's saying anything about how it wouldn't make sense.
No, because okay, the aircraft carrier is strong enough to hold both of them without breaking and sinking. Okay, now let's just throw punches at each other.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Christy, are you excited to see giant animals punch each other in the face?
Yes, I have a list right here that says I have to watch Kong Skull Island, Godzilla, and Godzilla King of Monsters. Someone gave me this homework. I think it was you.
That was me.
I think it was you. I have a list sitting right here at all times of things. How do I watch these?
So Christy, I don't know how busy you are.
Oh,
I don't know if you know
here
this.
we go.
Oh no.
My nickname in high school was Cliff. So if you need the Cliff Notes on those 3 movies, I'll be happy to give them to you.
I'm going to cut a soundbite of you telling us your nickname.
I mean, you can just do that without announcing it. That's the way production works, Thomas.
I apologize for blowing the secret.
No, it's fine. This is our first bare bones episode, and now we'll do the production notes at the end, where we will add stuff and layer stuff in as the show grows.
I have a list. I have a Google Doc of all the times Thomas has said he's going to clip something out.
And I probably haven't done any of them.
No, but I have it. One day I will present it to you. One day I will deem it finished, and I'll present
That
it
would
to
be
you.
helpful, preferably before we start Pants season 2.
Well, you have I gave you your Sam list. So
That's true. I have the Sam list safely in my Twitter DMs.
This is what I do in my free time. Is I
Assistant
make lists
producer.
for Thomas.
So
Sorry, associate producer. We don't use the word assistant anymore.
Oh no.
No, it's associate.
associate.
Yeah.
And anybody can become one. It's just a way to get a little, like, your name in the credits. Like literally, if you do anything, you can be an associate producer.
So like if I
Yeah.
gave you like $20 a month, you could call me your associate.
Exactly. Yeah, you'd get to see your name for like half a millisecond at the credits of an end of a video, and you'd feel good about it.
But you don't even have to give me $20. Like, you can literally give me a coaster for my drink, and now you're an associate producer.
I because you are currently using what for a coaster?
I am currently using a notepad.
I have a foam scrap.
So that way, if I put it on the table, you hear, and if I put it on the pad, you hear nothing. So that's why we use the pad.
Thank you.
And
I
that
appreciate
was my assistant associate producer brilliance that
Yeah.
got us John's legal pad.
Exactly. You did that, Christy.
I did that.
Right, and thankfully you then told me don't eat on camera because these are very crunchy.
I would never tell you not to do something for this reason.
They are delicious.
They look a little well done. Did you make those?
Okay, so my mother made these, and these are the end of the batch, but they're still so good. Right.
Well done is such a nice way to say over.
There were some well done ones at the end of the batch, and it doesn't matter. They are still so delicious.
I like a crunchy cookie.
No, but she's a grandma, and grandmas make the best cookies. Like there's no, all you had to say is a grandmother made these, and I'm like,
yep,
legit. That well done. That well done is well done.
So I'm also looking forward to baseball season around the corner. Pitchers and catchers are reporting. I like baseball. I like fantasy baseball. I like when people throw balls at each other and they swing bats.
Yep.
It's a fun time of year. With that comes clear skies.
Yeah.
Right. And Thomas, you know why I'm bringing up clear skies, because what are you looking forward to most?
Yeah, it's getting that telescope back. It's pointing to the corner.
There's
What's the question again?
There's a moon in our corner that Christy was just pointing to. We should take these fantastic pictures.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
Thomas's
trying.
moon. He took that picture.
That is my moon. That's one of the pictures I'm most proud of. I actually think I have that one on my Instagram.
You have to follow Thomas's Instagram for all the hot moon content.
I'm gonna get better at it, and I've got some gear I haven't had a chance to test out yet. Should allow me to take much better photos. I should be able to start getting photos of like deep space objects, like galaxies and nebula and stuff like that. So,
well, you have to endorse Thomas's Instagram so that way people know where to go to follow Thomas. Because right now they're just gonna look up Thomas's Instagram and find people named Thomas who have Instagram.
We're gonna put it in the link of the video.
yeah, you can find me at John Mariano NY on all social media platforms.
Me too.
I mean, you could, but all you're gonna see is some paintings of barbecue joints and their windows.
What's
They're
better
good
than
paintings.
that? Yeah.
Peanuts always make people happy.
So I think that just about wraps up episode 1 of Monday Mornings. Do you guys have anything that you would like to leave the crowd with for until next Monday?
Christy?
Just, take some time for yourself. If there's something that I learned, it's the absolute value of self-care. So if you can try to, take a whole day off or even just carve out a little piece of time for yourself, because my God, does it make a difference?
No kidding. John, I know you asked the question, but do you want to go first?
So I grew up a huge Regis and Kathy Lee fan, and Regis would always close the show saying he was going to go run to King's Papaya and go get a hot dog. And while I don't have King's Papaya here because I'm not hopping on a train 45 minutes to get to Manhattan to go get some hot dogs, I will probably leave here and go get like a nice meatball hero and celebrate our first show by having sauce all over my face and chest and be happy because I'm a sloppy eater. How about you, Thomas?
Short and sweet. Be yourself unabashedly. That's all I got to say.
I love it.